Hey there, and welcome back to First Alert Weather Extra. Today we have a special guest from Fox Weather, Kiyana Lewis. How are you?
Good. How are you? Thanks so
I'm
much for
doing
having
well.
me.
Of course. Listen, you're our first guest that works at Fox Weather, so we're super excited to get the insight, the tea. No, I'm just kidding. But we definitely want to learn a little bit about your journey. Can you start off with telling us where did your interest in meteorology begin?
So I have always been interested in nature and weather, outdoorsy, um, all of that nature. So I guess it kind of started when I was younger, but I will say I went to college with the understanding that I was going to be a reporter. I went into journalism, and it was like midway through college. Tropical Storm Sandy here in the Northeast. It was Hurricane Sandy for one moment, but Tropical Storm Sandy happened, and I think that's what re-sparked my interest as a adult at that point in time. So I kind of shifted gears midway through college, my sophomore year, after Sandy made her major impact across the Northeast. I went and changed my major, and from there, I just kind of really dug into this being my beat per se in the journalism industry.
Very nice. So, can you talk about your college experience? Where did you go to school? What was your major?
Sure. So first things first, I went to school and graduated from Morgan State University in Baltimore. It is an HBCU, so woo-woo.
Ooh.
But when I went to school with the understanding, as I mentioned, to be a news reporter, and things shifted midway through. Um, Unfortunately, at the time, and I know that they're working on this, but Morgan did not have a meteorology major. So I finished that degree in journalism with that minor in meteorology. And from there, fresh out of college, I went back to school with Penn State University, which is a state college for me. I'm from Philadelphia, and I got my degree in meteorology.
So, through your transition from journalism to meteorology, would you say that there are certain qualities that has helped you become successful in your career? And what are those qualities?
Absolutely, I sure would. In the time, it was really hard because it was like you're kind of on the outside looking in, watching everybody do what you want to do. But looking back, I think that was definitely what laid the foundation for where I am today. So when I graduated from Morgan, of course, I went and got my first job. I interned with WBAL in Baltimore as a production assistant and eventually on the assignment desk. But when I got my first job, I got hired in Salisbury, Maryland as a news producer. And I think that's what really laid the foundation and allowed me to learn what news is really about, how to write correctly for news, how to be stronger in that aspect of news. And then I transitioned that as I graduated from Penn State and learned how to do weather production and learn, what's correct and how to share information with the viewers correctly. So I think that definitely laid the foundation for my career change.
Oh, wow. That's really interesting. I didn't know you started as a news producer.
Yeah.
Very cool. But I do think there's a lot of aspects in the newsroom that if you just come straight into it, you're like, whoa, it's not just being on TV telling the weather. There's a
Mm-mm.
lot of other aspects into it. So that's really cool.
Yeah.
So, as far as getting to Fox Weather, what was that journey like? How did you get there?
So this journey was definitely a journey of great unexpectation. Like I came into the weather world thinking, I got to start small again. I may have to go back to a smaller city and learn the ropes and get my chops, and that rang true. I did a lot of studying under meteorologists in Washington D.C. The whole team there at the station I was working with. And then eventually I was like, I'm going to branch out. So I worked on a reel, I worked on a tape, I did my practices, and I just started sending it out. And I got two interviews. I got one in Maine I got one at News 12 here in New York City. And I entertained both. I got the job here in New York City. So that's what led my path to New York. To be honest, I never wanted to live in New York initially. I was scared of the city. I was like, it's so big. There's cars everywhere. No one, it was just so much. Um, but when this job came through, I was like, this is it. This is a sign. I have to do it. And I took the job and I worked with News 12 in the Bronx and Brooklyn, two boroughs here in New York City, just doing local news. What else did I do? I did local news. I weather produced for them. We did web producing. I did a lot of weather field anchoring and like taking our reports out in the field. We did a lot of school visits. So like that was really fun. It was a tight knit community job for me. A great way to start off. And Fox Weather saw that, and when we launched in October 2021, they reached out and were like, "Hey, we know your contract's coming up. How would you like to stay in New York? How would you like to come over and work for us?" And it worked out.
Very cool. So I want to know, how do you fight the storm with traveling from home to work every day, knowing the subway, or do you take public transportation? I want how does that work?
So it's a mixed bag. It really does depend on the shift that we work. I work primarily in early mornings to midday. So the way that that works for us is if you work earlier than, say, the sunrise, 6 a.m., you are likely to get a car ride in. So, the car service comes and picks me up. They bring me into work. I get here safely and I start my day. But going home, anytime that it's daylight outside, there's, a presence of public, I take the subway. And I'm okay with that. I've been taking the subway all my life. So it works out for me. I just hop right on the train. I take it home, 7 stops, get off the train, and I'm home already. But I will say, learning New York City subway was a lot. It was a lot for me. There's just so many train stations. Ironically, almost every corner you turn, there is a train station. So you're going to get where you have to go. But it was a lot to learn, to know that the B train runs from south to north, or the L train runs from east to west. And it's a lot to learn, but it's fun learning.
So I'm sure you're a pro at it. So next time I'm in New York City, I'm gonna be like, "Hey,
You call me up.
which way do I go?" That's very fun. I took the subway before, and it is difficult. And I was going the wrong way. I was going south, and I was supposed to go.
It's very easy to go the wrong
Yeah.
way. It doesn't explain it very well. You have to learn like certain neighborhoods and street names to know which way you got to go. But
And you,
once you get it, I'm telling you, it's like
yeah,
that. Yeah.
yeah, I'm sure. Oh my gosh, that's cool. So, do you have any favorite memories or stories from being a meteorologist?
I think one of my favorite memories is one of my field days. I did a lot of field work in the Bronx, and I do a lot here too. I actually have two new memories. But the first memory I would say would be the first day of school. Um, we all showed up to a public school here in New York City, and as they were getting off of the bus after school, we were handing out backpacks. So it was like a community moment for me, and that was like really big. And a lot of the children were like, "Oh, I watch you in the morning," and you helped me get dressed for school. So it was like a very heartfelt moment that I'll always remember. And then recently, I had the opportunity here with Fox Weather to go and plant trees in a national park here. So that was a lot of fun too. That was for Earth Day. We planted over 275 trees that eventually will really grow and stay here in New York. So that was fun too.
Very
In the
fun. Oh my
city of
gosh.
Con Creek, we were planting trees. So I love it.
Do you have a green thumb?
I do. I do have a
Okay,
lot of
that
plants.
worked out perfect. That's awesome. So, how do you handle working long hours if you have to? I know in the case of severe weather, I don't know exactly how your station handles it or breaks it up between team members,
Mhm.
but how do you handle long work days?
I think those are the days where we basically prepare for. So, um, I don't know how other stations do it, but a lot of the times here, when we are finished with our show for the day, we're finished for the day. So it could be 2 hours before your shift ends. You take that moment to yourself because if there's a severe weather day, you're probably going to get extended. And that's why we, reward ourselves with other days. But you have to remember why you're doing this, right? The main reason for us to be meteorologists, to share this information, to make sure our viewers are safe, is to put our all into it. So if it's an all hands on deck situation, you know what you signed up for. We wanted the main goal is to make sure that the viewers are safe. So I don't really think too hard about it.
What do you enjoy most about what you do?
Um,
Um,
I enjoy every part of my of my day, when I come into work. So there is, I don't know if there's a favorite part, but I really enjoy the coworkers that I work with. My colleagues are amazing. You know, each and every one of them in their own way are helpful. They are supportive. They're willing to, you know, work with you, make you laugh. Our interviews are always fun. So I think that has become lately my favorite thing. And we don't have set co-hosts all the time. So one day I could come in and work with one co-host, and the next I come in and work with another like bestie. So it's like that's the fun transition with working with Fox Weather. It's like we really get to know one another at each and every day.
And is there any advice you'd like to share to an upcoming meteorologist that may be embarking on their journey through college or maybe taking a detour in their career journey to becoming a meteorologist?
Um, sure. So I think for the up and coming meteorologist, I would say always remember that what's for you is for you. Don't second guess it, don't question it. If you have a goal and you want it and you think it's yours, and you go after it wholeheartedly. The second thing I would say is once you get into that first market, or that first station, whether it be a producer or on the camera as a meteorologist or a reporter doing reporting on weather, do your research. Know every nook and cranny about your community, because it will really pay off in the long run. It really, really will. The community will love you for it. They will love that the back roads, the communities, the community leaders. Like they really will love that for you, and that will excel your career even more.
That's great. Well, thank you so much for joining us once again, Kiana, and for taking the time to even speak with us today and for sharing those nuggets to those upcoming meteorologists. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And thanks so much for having me. I'm so glad to join you guys today.
You're welcome.
Bye.